Welcome everyone to another episode of Big Brand MMA Podcast, episode 51, UFC Vegas 68, Lewis versus Spivak. I'm your host, Big Steve. Got a special guest on Fight Night Bets. How are you, mate? You want to give us a little bit of a background on yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Can't complain. Been doing this 5 years or so. Everything's tracked on BetMMA. I'm arguably the best capper there is out there. So if you like my shit, go check me out on Twitter.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I just randomly saw your podcast, which was like 20 minutes with an intro song from your own phone. And I just cracked up. And then all your breakdowns of brash and just very crude. And I was just laughing the whole time. And then obviously after that first podcast, I saw you hit a lot of it was the Anders fight, and I was on Anders as well. And then you hit him by KO. I was like, oh, you know what? He knows what he's talking about. So maybe even if he's crap, at least it's only 20 minutes out of my day that I have to listen to his podcast. And then I just found it funny. And I was like, you know what? Do you want to be in my podcast? I like to ask people that get my attention. I'm not going to ask any of those, famous Twitter people a lot of the time. But yeah, you call my attention and you can gamble. So I was always going to jump on for a bit.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's what I was aiming for. Try and be different. Try and stick out a little bit. And that comes natural to me, man. I'm naturally a bit of a dickhead, just say what I think, say what I feel. I can't really rein it in. And in terms of making it 20 minutes, even that's too long for me. I hate watching these podcasts and they're fucking an hour long and they're just repeating themselves on fights. So yeah, man, glad you liked it.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first fight, Tatsuro Taira versus Jesus Aguilar. I'll let you take this one away, mate.
Yeah, not too much to say, really. What is he, minus 1,000, minus 1,200? Probably justified. I think the most important factors you need to look at this fight are Jesus is is 5'4", got a short reach. I think he was something let me look it up so I'm not just guessing.
He is quite small.
6'2" reach. Basically, he's just tiny in there. He's going to get subbed in round one, most likely. I think the odds are a bit shit for that. The minus 140, something like that. I don't play props like that. I wouldn't mind hitting the KO for Taira. I think that was sitting around about 4.75. I've seen it plenty of times in these positions where the guy's a lock, quote unquote, for the sub. People bet it, they get burnt because he fucking drops the guy and runs in and just finishes in by ground and pound. So yeah, I don't hate a tiny bet on Taira by KO. I think there's some value there. But yeah, this is a mismatch. He's a great prospect. He's got great jiu-jitsu, great takedowns, and this guy, Jesus Aguilar, shouldn't be there, man.
Yeah, nice. I agree with he potentially can get a knockout. We've seen Taira drop Candelaria, almost ground the pound, KO him, drop some people in regionals. The other thing is he's a Mexican. These guys are very durable. I've got that Taira inside the distance, $1.66. It's way too juicy, but I'm also coming around to playing juice sometimes. I've always been not touching him, but now it's there's always value. There's value on juiced stuff too, So I'm trying to come around to it. If it is going to be around one KO, like you say, or sub, then there's value on the $1.66 inside the distance, Or if Taira is just dominating for 15 minutes and he gets a sub in the end, that's kind of also value. So I've only played it because I'm seeing other people around the Twitter sphere getting a lot worse lines, up and up on Bet365. So I was like, you know what, if they're forcing, those kind of lines, I'm going to play $1.66 and I'll decide later on, in the week if I want to keep it or not. It's quite a generous price. So that's all I have. Other than that, I'm not overly confident. I think he could be a tough guy. He's a wrestler. He's gritty. Candelario took Taira a few times and he didn't really go for guillotines or anything. I would like to see him go for guillotines because Jesus kind of gives his neck out there. He was giving that out in a Contender. And he's also putting himself in deep triangles and regionals. I would like Taira to go for those guillotines. But, sometimes you don't see this stuff on tape and it still looks value. So, yeah, just got the inside the distance. It's moved already, so that's about it for me.
Yeah, I think that's the way to play it. I think it was a minus 140 when it opened on dimes. And then I think Bet Online had it minus 260 or something, which I actually saw somebody take. But yeah, in the distance is probably the best bet for this fight.
Yep. Let's move on. Junior Park, Denis, Tiuliulin. What do you say, mate? Anything catch your attention here?
I think it's a dog or pass situation. I don't think you should be laying minus 200 on Park. I don't think that's wise. I think Denis, in his debut, he came in late notice against the Russian, who was again minus 1200. So no shame there, losing that one. It was kind of just his way into the UFC. He was expected to take the L, and then they gave him Jamie Pickett, who he got rid of, as he should. And now I think this is a 50-50 fight, and the line's a bit wide. I think Denis is a dog here. His takedown defense is improving. I think that's Park's best win condition here. I think if it was a boxing fight or, a purely stand-up fight, I'd probably favor Tiuliulin. So yeah, I don't hate the dog shot in this situation.
Yeah, man, I lean the same way. I was honestly very surprised when I taped that I got the urge to play Denis, knowing what he's like, gassy, hittable, and got those takedown problems. But it's just, I laid the juice on Park against Anders, and what is Anders going to do? Hold him against the cage for 3 rounds and get outboxed and cardio die. And he made me sweat there. He made me sweat, and then I looked into more of his fights, and it's the jab and stick and move game plan that can make the fights a bit closer than they should be. And he does have a very good IQ. Like, he pressured Holmes and knew that he was going to break him. And, straight away shot for takedowns against Phillips. He fights how he needs to fight, So no doubt he's going to look to grapple here. It's just, minus 200, against Denis, like you said, he's improving. I feel like he even got up once and had his back taken against the Russian guy on short notice. So it's not over if Park takes him down. I feel like he's going to pop up straight back up, at least in the first round, maybe even 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I don't see much value on Park. And this is a card that I'm not going to have live betting, so I'm just going to avoid anything unless I have a money line that I can lock in that I don't plan on exiting live. So dog will pass for me as well, but ultimately I think I'll pass just because I think over the 3 rounds, Park is just going to do enough, with the IQ and the jab and being slightly less hittable. But I'm close. If the line gets any crazy, I'll probably hit it myself.
It's funny you should say about the IQ of Park. That was one of the things I mentioned when doing my breakdown for it. Is he's got high IQ. He fights John Phillips. What do? You take him down, path of least resistance. And he does that in all his fights, path of least resistance. So, I expect him to go for takedowns here. But I just don't trust him. I just don't trust him at minus 200. That's the short of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a smart thing to do. It's wide. It seems wide. He's not going to do what he did to Holmes here. Alrighty. So I get the best fight on the card now. So Jin Yong Kim versus Mandy Böhm. Not much to say about this. I reluctantly taped it yesterday because I always try to tape everything before the podcast, and I regretted it. Didn't get anything out of it other than, Kim seems slightly better, but don't get it twisted. She shouldn't be this much of a favorite. They're both low level. Both these girls should not be in the UFC. As you can see by Kim's record, her only win recently is just Nadia Kassem, who's horrible from my regional scene. And she knocked her out. She just fights too technical for her own good. Böhm just doesn't fight for your money in the cage. She might do that here because it's her last fight and she's getting cut. And she does do that on the regional scene. It just seems to be crapping her pants in the octagon. That alone is enough to just make you pass. Kim needed a win in her last win and she just didn't pull the trigger. So what makes you think she'll do it here? It's just $1.36. Yeah. If you have the courage, it's Böhm or pass. I literally saw someone parlay Kim right before I went live. Won't name any names, but I felt like trolling him, but I said better not. Dog or pass. I'm not going to waste my money on Böhm because I don't think she's reliable enough. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's funny when you mention like the technical aspect of Kim, which is true. Don't you just hate it when fighters go in there trying to be like, especially women fighters, try and box them up? I remember Cynthia Calvillo against Andrade, and she was trying to do this like bob weave, jab to the body constantly. I was like, fucking bitch, man, take her down. Getting back to crazy, man, what these women do. I said at the beginning of the year, I'm not betting women MMA favorites. I do like Kim here. I hate Mandy. I think she's shit everywhere. I think she's got poor stand-up. I think she's a mental midget. You know, like people like Alex Hernandez, people like McKinney. They kind of check out midway during the fight if things aren't going their way. You can see it in their eyes. They've just checked out of the fight completely. I actually think Kim's going to knock her out here. I think that's worth looking at. I think that Mandy's stand-up is that bad. Her lack of volume, I think Kim is going to run away with it in rounds 2 and 3 once Mandy checks out of the fight. And I think she's probably going to get a TKO victory, man. If you don't push Kim and give her some adversity, she's half decent, man. She's got fast hands. She's got high volume, which is important in women's MMA. And Mandy can piss off back to Germany. She's done.
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna play anything, play the unders or Kim by KO. And I was thinking about that as I was taping yesterday. She's getting dropped all over the place by Lipsky, and Lipsky just chose to sit in the guard and keep the rounds. But just she's so noodly, so unathletic, and Kim can crack, man. I think she wobbled Zombie Girl as well when she actually lets him go. And as long as she doesn't drop her and sit in the guard like Lipsky and stuff like that, she's gonna have to pour it on. But it could be like one of those against the cage like Nadia Kassem. But if you're gonna play anything, I see UFC betting experience. He's quite sharp, but he's saying over 2.5 should be fine. Hopefully he means the park and not this, because over 2.5 is extremely juiced. I would not play that. But Rob Lawrence. Kim in Japan has advantage. Come scorecard time. This is not in Japan, dude.
That threw me off, to be honest. When everyone was saying it was a 3 a.m. start, I was like, what the fuck? It's at the Apex. Like, I don't know why they kept the, Japan.
I think it was meant to be a career card, and then they changed it last minute.
But why not change it to like the American times? Why keep it at 3 a.m.?
I think because they're pondering for the audiences, because it's all Koreans and stuff.
Okay.
They do that when he goes to Abu Dhabi, like, or when they brought like Khabib. They want the Muslims and stuff to watch. Let's move on. Talk too much about this fight. Next fight, we got Park versus Choi. I like Park. I would have played Park on road against that Muay Thai smoker, the Southpaw. If I had any lines for Road FC, I just taped it for my friend who wanted a second opinion. It was a pick'em. Ran through him. He got dropped. Now taping this, his opponent, Choi, he seems decent. I don't really feel comfortable playing Park as a minus 200. Essentially, I have the same sentiment about all these Road FC fights. You just can't get the best read. And I think that's why, and the bookies can't get the best read. And I think that's why so many underdogs won on Road FC. It's just hard to gauge who should really be the underdog based on Korean or Indonesian regional tape, right? So that's how I feel. I feel like, Park would potentially run through him. Choi seems decent. I don't want to play it on him because Choi is a bit of a low volume jab and leg kick merchant and mixes in takedowns occasionally. I don't know if he's really going to get the takedowns off against Park. I don't know if Park can run through him with his own back control. Just don't really get it. If I'm gonna retape anything on this card, if I have time after Bellator, it will be the Road to UFC fights, because that seems to be where all the money lines are from most gamblers. So I have to look into more into these money lines because I didn't tape all of their fights. I just kind of skimmed through it. I guess it's a dog or pass. Park could be the real deal, but I just can't get a good read. What about you?
I think it's the worst fight on the card, to be honest. I looked into it briefly. I don't hate a shot on Park in the distance. Like, just looking at the lines, I think it was plus 250, something like that. If you're a total degenerate, put half a unit on that. I know some people like to just have action on every fight to make it interesting, but I'd probably just pass, man.
Yep, we agree. Alrighty, let's move on to another Road FC. And I'll let you take this one. Rinya Nakamura versus Toshiomi Kazama. What do you reckon?
This Kazama guy, it's supposed to be a jiu-jitsu guy, but for everything I've seen on tape, he's shit at jiu-jitsu. His stand-up's poor. He's got no stand-up, basically. He's supposed to be a jiu-jitsu guy, but I've seen him take people down and get on top and get in positions, he's done nothing with it. He hasn't attacked anything. So I think he's trash, and the line is justified. It's all about whether Nakamura is going to knock him out or not. which he should. Nakamura seems half decent. There's a big gap in the striking, and he should take advantage of that. So it should be a KO. Probably round 1, but maybe start round 2. But I don't think the line's good enough. So again, pass. I think it was something like plus 110, plus 120. So
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's a pass for me. This Nakamura guy is a beast. Someone mentioned to me, look into the fight with Andro Caetano, which I couldn't find on Tape Index. I had to look it up myself. And Caetano is 23-8, and he's a black belt, and he's submitted, Joe Elias. I'm sure you know him. He was on a Contender Series, the armbar merchant, the little stocky John Lineker guy, and he submitted everyone as well. And he submitted Diego Ribeiro and Patricio Andrade. He submitted the who's who on the regional Brazilian scene, and very experienced guy. And Nakamura, just went to a decision and beat him handily. UD, he got cut. I think that's what my friend was saying. Look into it. He got cut. Had a bit of adversity, but Nakamura, just clear unanimous decision. Mixed in takedowns, stayed in his guard, didn't get submitted. So all that fight showed me is that I would definitely not play the other guy as a dog, because he had a really high level opponent, and he shut him down. So I don't think I could play the dog. Again, he could be wide. He's got a weird style. I think his whole thing about jiu-jitsu is a gi guy. He does crazy stuff with the gi. So obviously it doesn't translate as well in MMA, because he does a lot of lapel shit and a lot of when he gets the lapel, wraps it around and stuff like that. Yeah. But he's got a cool style. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I like his style, where he just held on to that guy for dear life in road and kind of like gassed him out. He was clinching. I thought that was cool. But yeah, I think Nakamura, I did look at the under, in case he does get knocked him out. It just seemed a little bit juiced, and it's even more juiced now because I hesitated. So yeah, pass for me as well.
Yeah, smart man. I can see a lot of people taking Nakamura in the distance, or fight doesn't go to decision and them getting burnt. But yeah, I hate this kid. I'm so shit with these names. Kazama, the jiu-jitsu guy. I hate him, man. I wish I'd just piss off from MMA. They've got zero stand-up. They're not going to improve. You can tell they haven't even got the fundamentals in the stand-up. They just want to, take you down and try and get a submission. I don't think he's got any chance here. The play is Nakamura by KO, and hopefully he gets it and knocks this guy out, man.
That probably hits, man. Rob Lawrence says Rinya by Red Rum. Whatever that means. Alrighty, next fight, mate. Zha Yi, Jeong, Yong, Lee, all yours.
This is another example. This guy Zha Yi, all he wants to do is take you down and get a submission. Everything he does is to set that up. He might throw a 1-2 on the feet, throw some kicks, but in his head, all he's wanting to do is take you down and get a submission. I don't think he's going to do that here. I really like Lee. I think he's one of the best prospects out of all these Asian fighters on this card. He's big for the weight class. He looks like he's on steroids to me. He's got fast hands. He's got power. He's patient in there. He's a good prospect, man. A really good prospect. And I hope he gets a finish here and, makes a name for himself. But yeah, on the other side, I don't like this other guy, Yi Zha. Trust me, he's just going to go in there and try and take him down and get a submission. And I don't think it's going to work.
Oh, I trust you. That's all I've seen on tape, essentially. Seen him dropping down for heel hooks and...
Yeah. Sorry, one thing I will say about him, he's got a nice triangle, a nice fast triangle off his back. He throws that up pretty nice. So he's got to be wary of that, Lee.
Yeah. I just can't. It seems to be a popular dog. So like I said, that's these 3 fights is what I want to look into again, because I don't want to be missing something.
Yeah.
But yeah, from what I saw after taping maybe 3 or 4 fights of each guy, I just can't get a read. Is Lee gonna be taken down and controlled? Yeah, he got taken down in his Road FC fight and got an armbar. And Yi, when you look at Yi's regional, he's getting reversed a lot. That one fight that he barely won on road, he was getting reversed a lot and losing position. So he's not some dominant wrestler. He's a scramble heavy guy. So yeah, why can't Lee just scramble and overpower him? And I don't know. He seems to have a good armbar from guard. So it's just a lot of questions, and I'm not in the I've started my first few cards in the minus, and I ended up with profit. I'm not gonna start guessing stuff and losing bets just based on guesses. It's another pass for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, if you look at his regional tape, he's got away with it so far because he's fought 1 and 2 guys, 0 and 3 guys from bloody Beijing or wherever. So it's easy to amass what's his record. It's so much stupid that looks good on paper, but when you look into it, 21 and 3, it looks like he's experienced. But he's been fighting bums, man. It's easy to take them down and get a quick submission. It doesn't really tell you much about him. I think Lee's going to win in dominant fashion.
Yep. We'll move on. Just address some of the comments. UFC betting experience. Lee seems like a good live bet spot. Most likely, mate. Most likely. This is I'm at the last wedding for the wedding season, and then I can go back to live betting, which is annoying because I miss out on live betting Bellator as well. Esau Morera, laughing miles off. This guest is insane and not a bit polite. I like it. Same, mate.
I try.
That's why he's on here. Red Rum is murder backwards from the horror movie The Shining. Sorry, brothers. Rob Lawrence always with the random comments. I love it. Alrighty. Next one. I'll take this one away. Anshul, Jubli, and we've got Jeka. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, this is one fight that I won't be retaping because I just went in really deep initially. Didn't leave any stone unturned, and I was a little bit surprised by Jubli being a favorite and money coming in on him. I probably would have kept him as a slight favorite just due to the aggression and the finishing upside on the Jeka side. At first I thought he was just dropping bums and knocking out bums in the Indonesian regional scene, and then he knocked out 2 more guys on road. And the second fight or the first fight was in round 3, so he carries his power late. So yeah, it's just he's improving. They were both young, but then I saw Jubli, and in his last fight, he's just standing for 3 rounds, not one takedown, and his whole thing is he's a blue belt, which is ironic because on the Indian regional scene they're just talking about his amazing jiu-jitsu, and then I find out he just got his blue belt after submitting one of the guys, and I'm like, wow, that's the same high level as maybe I should be in the UFC with my blue belt, But yeah, it's just these guys, they're just improving. Like he's training in America now, and who knows how much better he's going to be. And I just can't, it's pick him. And ideally, I would bet Jubli if he doesn't get knocked out. But he was very hittable in that last fight. And apparently, that guy that he beat, Kim, is very good. And it's just, I just don't know this regional scene that well to make a formed opinion. And like I said, constant improvement from both these guys. But I thought Jeka was going to be a slight favorite. I guess he's not. And literally everyone asked, they're on Jubli. This, the size, and I get it. Jeka's got those. Every time he loses, he kind of gasses out a bit, and he's on the ground. He's a little bit too aggressive for his own good. So I get it. But yeah, ultimately a pass fight for me, and I'm set on that. I won't be retaping it. Nothing I like here. What about you?
Yeah, I've made a bet on this fight. Let's see if you can guess who I've bet on. So I think that this guy, the Indian Jubli, is a fugazi. I think he's a fake. I think he loves to tell people he's an MMA fighter. He's been doing it. He said himself, I've seen some interviews, he's been doing it for a little bit now. I think he just likes the fame of it. I've seen him almost quit mid-fight on the stool. His corner had to pep him up for the fucking 3rd round. I think he's not very good anywhere. He has okay cardio. Jiu-jitsu, you say he's a blue belt. That makes sense to me. I think he's very green. I wish on the other side we had someone a tiny bit better than Saragih. I do like Saragih. He has fast hands. He has power in his hands, and he is aggressive, which I really like. He's very live for the KO. I don't mind that. But yeah, on the other side, I hate this Indian guy, Jubli. I think he's a faker. I think he's in MMA for the wrong reasons. Go watch some of his interviews, chatting all kinds of shit. Ultra cocky, and you can just see him getting knocked out here. So yeah, I like Sangai for the win here. I like the line too.
Nice. Did you bet it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you were one of the people that told me that you were surprised about the line. When I looked at it, I was surprised as well. But yeah, just even some really sharp people there, they like Jubli, and I was like, all I could see is how hittable he is, man. How hittable he is. And maybe you shouldn't be trying that new stand-up game with 0 defense against
Yeah.
right here. Probably the wrong person to do it. He's dropped everyone. Even though he's lost on the regionals, he dropped that guy in the first 10 seconds. And then in round 2, it hits so hard, man. And
it's like you say with Jubli, though. What's his win condition? How's he going to win? You see him go for a takedown within seconds and submit a guy. Then in his next fight, he'll stand. What is his MO? What's he doing in there?
Well, I think it's just a 3-round grapple fight because I've seen him grapple a lot of Indian guys over 3 rounds. He seems to have somewhat good control, but again, that's Indian regional scene. And when Jeka has lost, he's lost because he was stuck on his back and he got gassed and he got submitted eventually because everything's explosive. But yeah, he's just, there's just no value. There's no value on either side unless you cap Jeka as a slight favorite and he's an underdog. So there's probably quite a bit of value there, 20, 30 cents, depending on what you think. Or KO, I wouldn't mind sprinkling the KO, we'll see.
Yeah, he's been sub twice, Sangai. Yeah, he's just got a lot more experience. They both fought cans, but he's got a few better wins than this Indian guy. The Indian guy only really started in 2019. Yeah, say no more, man. The Indian guy's shit. He's going to get knocked out.
Yep. I love the confidence. I'll address some of these comments and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
FIFA Gaming, which football shirt do you have on? It's Red Star Belgrade, mate, the best Serbian team. Red Star, this guy knows. Moreira knows. Must be a soccer fan, must be Brazilian. He even wrote it in Serbian. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, best team. I just couldn't be bothered getting dressed normally, so fuck it. Alrighty. Let's move on, shall we? I'm doing this one, and then I'll let you take away the next 2.
Yeah.
So, which is ideal because Yusaku Kinoshita versus Adam Fugitt. Beautiful last name. This was my first play that I locked in. Ironically, it was a prop. Pretty much every single UFC card this year that's been crap, the props came out and I liked something, which is not usually my MO, but it's been working. Saw the under 2.5 on my one and only Aussie book open up, and I was really surprised. $1.77, quite close to pick'em, and yeah, I hit that. I was always going to wait for Kinoshita KO. Hopefully plus money, maybe at pick'em at worst case. And then when I saw that under 2.5, I thought that's quite generous. And obviously it's been steamed a little bit over the last 2 days. I couldn't really tell anyone. Some people I was waiting for to get on it themselves in my close circles. Essentially, Kinoshita 100% under 2.5. And Fugitt has 2 fights early in his career that went to decision. He's kill or be killed, super chinny guy. Been put out by one punch by Kalen Hill. He knocked out, Solomon Renfro, who's also chinny. Michael Moraes knocked him out in round 3. He put up a fight there. I see a lot of improvement with his stand-up. He's getting a lot more comfortable, and you can see after he took the layoff, he's not just looking to crotch sniff and take you down. He's actually standing, and he was in the pocket with Moraes, who I think is a better fighter than Kinoshita, and he wobbled him a bit as well. So I think he's a little bit live, potential to get a knockout here. If Kinoshita gets super aggressive, he's a young, brash guy. Anything's possible, This covers the submission, covers the Kinoshita submission. If Kinoshita comes in there a little bit patient, like on this contender series, the under could be a little bit of a sweat. But, he one pull counter and he put out Henrique. Henrique had even more reach and height than Fugitt. And I think Fugitt is a little bit more chinny. And I saw in an interview Fugitt say he's going in there for a standing KO. It just tells you how much more confident he is in his stand-up, which is a retarded game plan. And I don't usually take interviews to heart, but, he's serious. I feel like he's serious about it.
I'm serious.
I just turned my Siri on by accident. So I just thought that was an insane line. I bet it for $1,000. And then I said, you know what? If I've had that gut feeling, which means it's an amazing bet, why don't I put more? So I put another half a unit on. I'll do cross my dots and T's before my final bets. But yeah, at the moment I got 1.5 on a prop, over under prop, which I don't usually do. But yeah, it's just everything lines up. Chinny guy, powerful guy. The line is crazy. I thought it should be minus 200. So yeah, that's I banged on a bit about it, but that's my first play of the card. What about you, mate?
What was the line on that under? in American odds?
Let me work it out for you, man. It's really close to pick him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I've got a bet on this fight. It's a prop as well. I've got Kinoshita via sub plus 800, quarter of a unit.
Nice, man. In American odds, it's minus 130.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad. I like that. Yeah, Adam can talk all the shit he wants. Wait until he gets hit. He'll be shooting for a takedown, and hopefully he gets choked. That's how I envision it going.
Yeah, interesting, man. I haven't really looked deep into his submission. I've seen him just, take people. In the first few fights on his regionals, he's taking people down and rear naked choking them. So I just think Kinoshita's a well-rounded fighter. From what I've seen, he's not a jobber per se.
Yeah.
And I definitely liked how patient he was on Contender. It was a close fight, and I see some people laying the juice on him, and he wasn't really covering his line on Contender. So it's like I think Fugitt is better. So if you're gonna play him, you might have to play him by finish, because I feel like if he goes to decision, I feel like Fugitt is a good dog in my opinion. But I just feel like he ultimately gets knocked out at some point.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Fugitt. I don't like his game. It's not very well rounded. He's strong for round one, and then if he doesn't get the guy out of there, he kind of runs out of ideas. So he just mixes in takedowns, stands up on the feet a little bit, like he did in his last fight. His best win was obviously, is it Renfro? Is that how you pronounce it on LFA? He was a massive underdog, and obviously he got the first round KO. But outside of that, his record's a bit trash. He hasn't got a complete game, and I think after round one, that's when he's going to get finished. So hopefully it's, in round two, so you cash that under. But yeah, I'm with you, man.
I agree, man. His regional record of competition is horrendous. He's fought nobodies. I still think he's improving. I've seen some improvement in his more recent ones. I mean, Morales and Renfro are the best guys he's fought, and he's held himself the best in those ones. But yeah, let's move on. All right, Rob Lawrence. I thought he was going to sleep, but I guess not. That reach, 5 inches of reach. Well, Henrique had 9 inches of reach, mate, so he's seen this before. And I think Fugitt doesn't really use it well. He just comes into the pocket, looks to pull counter like an idiot. So, yeah, let's move on. Next fight on the cards, Choi versus Carl Nelson. I'll let you take this one away, mate.
Yeah, I didn't bet on this one. I'm surprised the lines come in on Choi. Last time I looked, he was minus 180, something like that. You'd expect in this position, he'd be like a minus 250 favorite, minus 300. Obviously, the 2.5, 3 years off has probably got a lot to do with it, and getting knocked out in his last fight. Stylistically, I think Nelson could be a live dog, especially in round one. Positives for Choi, obviously he's got great accuracy. He's got power for the weight class. But some negative things that I don't like when I've been watching the tape. In the Jeremy Stevens fight and then in the Charles Jourdain fight, both times when he got finished, it wasn't really a clean connection. He kind of just gave up in there. I know they connected with him, but they weren't TKOs. They weren't KOs. He got hit. He didn't like it. He shelled up and he lost by TKO. So I didn't like to see that from him. It seems like he's a bit of a front runner when things are pretty in there, and he can stay at distance and, touch you up and, find a home for that right hand. He's all happy. But when, you fire back and, stay in his face and put some pressure on him, I think the guy struggles. So it's all down to Nelson, whether he implements that game plan. I don't trust him to. He's a bit of a jobber. So I'll just pass, man.
Yeah, no, fair. I feel like it's a big pass from a money line perspective. I mean, 2 years away, and he's lost to bad guys before. Getting knocked out. He's constantly getting knocked out. Just very susceptible to overhands, which is the one thing Carl Nelson throws. Is just Carl Nelson's also crap. That Herbert fight, Jai Herbert, was the last time I lost big money on the under. It was minus 200, and it was just. This is how I used to cap my unders. No wonder they were my only losing bets. I used to just go, minus 200. I expect $1.30. Put 2,000 on it to win 1,000, 2 units, which I never do now. Meanwhile, I'm cleaning up all my money lines, and then I lose 2 or 3 units on an under that I didn't really. There was not much value there, but I just thought, no way, it doesn't get finished. So that was that. I remember that fight like nothing, because that was I literally cleaned up on that London card with all the money lines, Curtis plays, everyone. And then I was like, nah, never again. And that saved me. My over-unders have been killing it since. But yeah, he's just... I played the under 2.5 here. That was the whole segue about it. I was also surprised by that line. $1.70, $1.68. I'll convert it for you, mate, so you don't feel left out.
Nah, I got that one. I'm not too bad with conversions. Yeah, that's a decent line. I like that.
Minus 47, 60%. Oh, yeah, I should be 70, 75, man. Like taping Choi again, I didn't realize how hard this guy hits. He's dropping people with jabs, with arm punches. No load up. He's got that death touch, the Korean death touch, a bit like Lee previously on the road. And Nelson, yeah, just super gassy. Choi, he either gets knocked out. Nelson can knock him out if he fights smart. If he fights like an idiot and he looks to wrestle him, he probably gets some control time and some minutes under his belt, but he's going to gas out at some point. And I feel like once Choi gets up, it's just a 1-2 down the pipe. And Nelson's been submitted by Sales, man. Like a gassed Sales in round 3. That went over, but it's just like the fact that he was 30 seconds away from being under 2.5. So the only time he went over 2.5 is that Sales fight, which he had a lot of backpack time, and Sales was gassed himself. And the Jai Herbert fight, which, Jai had him there. Like, Jai could have finished him at any point. He was just petrified of getting another knockout after being knocked out by Topuria. You could see every time Jai landed a 1-2, it just held him up against the cage. It's like, that's it. I just want to hold on and make it to a decision.
Just wanted to do, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really sad. You could tell he was petrified. And every time he landed a leg kick, it looked like Nelson was going to get knocked out. Like, the body language was horrible. So yeah, I'm happy to lose money on this one. I only got 1,000 on it. I guess that thing is still that Jai loss, the under, is still in my brain. And Choi's coming off 3 years, 2 years layoff, and it's maybe he's a little bit more patient. But ultimately, I think this fight finishes one way or another. And it's just a massive, massive step down in competition too. Like, this is the guy that Choi should run through in 30 seconds, right? If his previous fights are anything to go by. So yeah, got the under there. A little bit worse odds than Kinoshita fight, but I also think this should be 70, 75%. It could be around 1KO most likely. So
I think it's most likely round 1. I think you're good, man. And from Instagram, Choi looks in like tremendous shape. So yeah, he should take this one, man.
Yeah, and Rob Lawrence agrees. He's refusing to go to bed. I will be going to sleep soon because I did a 10-hour shift, but I love your show. Keep it going. Canada here. Let's go Canada. No comments about Canada, but I guess they're okay. Alrighty. I think you're excited about this one, mate. Marcin, Tybura, Blagoy, Ivanov. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I like Tybura here. I don't like Ivanov. I think it's time for him to start getting knocked out and start going on a losing streak and get cut. I think that time's come. He's been durable throughout his career, hard to finish, but there's always a diminishing point of no return. And I think this is the fight that's going to happen. In his last fight, he got the W, but weird is he had a knee injury going into that one. That's what happens when you're getting old as fuck. You get injuries, harder to recover. Who knows if he's fully recovered from that knee injury. Tybura's a big fucker. I think he's like 6'3". I think that's going to help him in this fight. I think notoriously Tybura struggles when he fights people who are as big as him or bigger, people like Volkov. I like Tybura here. I don't think Ivanov is going to do his usual clinching, cage pressing game for 3 rounds and win a boring decision. I think he's going to get knocked out at some point. It's plus 450, so I don't hate a bet on that. But even the line on Tybura, it's coming in. I think it's at minus 130 now, and it opened at minus 190. Somebody asked me on Twitter, why do you think that is? And I said, to be honest, no idea. People are probably just going to say the sharp money's coming in on Ivanov, but I don't really subscribe to that. I've done the tape, and to me, Tybura wins this 9 times out of 10. So yeah, that's my take.
9 times out of 10, geez, that's a lot of value. I taped it thinking the same thing. I'm probably going to like Tybura. Just because I know him back to front. He's got everything you want for a heavyweight. He's light footwork. He's always touching, so he's got good volume. And his round 3 is always the best, which means he has elite cardio for a heavyweight. His wrestling is a bit how you're going sometimes. His best takedowns are a caught kick, and when he wraps his hands around the opponent's waist against the cage, that's usually when he dumps him. But in the center of the octagon, he usually struggles. That's why he gets his takedowns in round 3 when his opponents get a little bit tired and he can actually push him against the cage and wrap the hands. But I saw Ivanov get dumped by Lima in round 3 by the same takedown. He got Lima wrapped his hands around him and just picked him up and slammed him. I was like, Jesus, by a Muay Thai guy. But
sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, trust me, I'll plant my flag on Tybura here. Ivanov will gas after round 1, and he'll look like absolute shit. This is down to Tybura. If he wants to get him out of it here, he will. But it's all down to him. Ivanov, he hasn't got the gas anymore, man. He's 36. He looks like he's 56. And he's starting to fight like it. He's slowing down now. And I think they're teeing Tybura up here after he took out their guy, Romanov, in his last fight. Tybura's on the up.
I think a lot of people thinking this should be a pick and fight just because Ivanov always fights close and it's got a little bit of a durability advantage. The only play I have here is the over 2.5, and I wasn't going to play it because it's a little bit juicy. It's not my style. $1.45, just a little bit worse than minus 200. I think it's minus 2, whatever, 20, 40, I don't know. And then I regretted it. I watched the Lima fight again, and he hit Lima he was so aggressive in that Lima fight, and he hit Lima with such a big 1-2. You can find it on YouTube. There's a TikTok. There's a reel. It hits it with a 1-2, and it looks like it dislodges something in Lima's spine. And I'm like, Tabura's not taking that shot. And then I went deep and I looked at all his KOs, and he's got power. He's got power. He's just, I think, fighting Derrick Lewis and Taivasa and Dos Anjos, and he just can't. And Sakai, he's just really not. Can't really knock out these guys. So people are like, he's never going to knock anyone out. But he used to do it all the time. He used to click people with his boxing, and then got that sambo strike and used to finish him with ground and pound. But yeah, he was just super aggressive against Lima. Lima's very durable. So now I'm like, it's just crapping my pants over that over, and I can't cash it out. It just feels, whenever I feel like I'm going to lose my bet, it loses. So it's just like, I wish I didn't play it. I look deep into it, and maybe there isn't value, but it most likely goes over. I think, Tabura's been getting hurt recently a lot, but you need to put him out properly. The chin is, after those weird behind the ear shots against Shamil and Sakai, one after another, he's had a good run of, not really, getting hurt, not by Volkov. Harris hit him with a 1-2 and he survived and he recovered and took him down. You can hurt him, but, you have to put him out cold. And I think at worst case, Ivanov can hurt him. But yeah, I linked at this point, man. So much money is coming in on Ivanov. I might just have to play Tybura, man. It's calling my name. You're right. And just what happens if Tybura does take him down?
Why do you think the money's coming in, man?
Say that again.
Why do you think the money's coming in on Ivanov?
Oh, just like I mentioned, I think people think it's from the Discords that I'm in, and a lot of the Discords I'm not a fan of. I'll be honest. I'm just in there to talk fights. Yeah. But it's sharp guys in there, right? And they're saying it should be a pick and fight, and just because Ivanov always fights close and he's more durable, and they're saying he's got good takedown defense, but I haven't seen that on tape. No, literally, Derrick Lewis took him down and Lima took him down, and other than that, I haven't seen anyone else really try to take him down. So yeah, how do we know? Like it seems like one of those things. He should have good takedown defense because he's a sambo guy, but I've seen a couple of people take him down, so that's the thing, How do we know?
I don't want to jump on you for the over, but I do think it is square as fuck at like minus 200. So yeah, I'd probably cash out if you could, but
I can't. That's the problem.
Can you not? Yeah, but in terms of sharps and everything, I think everyone's a fucking retard when it comes to this fight. They're talking about things that have happened in the past. Like, how about progression? The guy's not going to keep, keeping it on the feet and doing what he's been doing for like the last 4 or 5 years. Like I said, there's a point of diminishing return when the fighters who you used to watch were doing the things that they always used to do, don't do them things anymore. And Tybura is just the type of fighter to exploit these things in Ivanov. So it's easy to look at Ivanov's tape and say, yeah, he's got great takedown defense. He's been stabbed before. He's a survivor. He's gritty. He's strong. But it's heavyweight, and anyone can get cracked at any time. And I think this is the time to jump on it. Why wait until Tybura does knock him out and then start betting on Ivanov to get knocked out? You got to get in early, man. That's what, proper sharp people do.
Yeah. It's just not my style. Tybura is not someone I want to rely on. You know what I mean? It was like people saying, it reminds me of the Stamen Lacerda under at $3. They're like, Stamen doesn't have much power, but he's probably going to knock this jiu-jitsu guy out. And I was like, I just don't see it, right? It's Stamen. And just, I don't want to force it, The only way Tybura gets a knockout is if he gets on top of him in round 3 and mounts him and, or gets his back, and Ivanov is just fat and just can't power out of it. Romanov powered out of it, but that's a beast. Or maybe it's a head kick, but it's just, I don't want to rely on a guy like Tybura to get a knockout, just death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah, but I'm not arguing it's weird. The only reason I played it is I woke up this morning and I was waiting for, not this morning, yesterday, and Bet365 had the over at $1.36. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to jump on that minus 200 because that's a big difference, And then now it's like, maybe I shouldn't have forced it. Oh, you never know. Could still go to decision.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I might join you on Tybura, man. The line, I've seen some crazy lines. It's approaching. Pick 'em, man. Who knows where it's going to go? Speaking of square plays, I was really close to playing Da Un Jung over Devin Clark after tape. I didn't do it. I went on my website to kind of see where the line was moving, and I saw the money was going to come in on Clark, so I left it, and money did come in. So I was like, beautiful. Maybe I'll keep waiting. Maybe he goes at minus 200. If he goes to minus 200, I'll hit it. It just feels like at best case, it could be a little bit close, with Clark doing his cage push and his female striking where he just throws overhands and does his little side kick. Him and Jamie Pickett do the same side kick to the head. It's just like a useless strike. No setup, no nothing. He can be taken down. He's been taken down by everyone. Mezicano, Stosic, Anthony Smith, right? There's this whole thing that Devin Clark's a good wrestler. He's got good penetration, but once he hits the hips, he just ends up pushing you against the cage and just stands there. And I think this is Jung is a perfect archetype to make him withdraw into his shell. Back up, be scared. He's massive, and just like I said, might keep it close with Jung's idiocy. He's a little bit too patient for his own good. He usually picks up later on in the fight, so he could be giving up minutes. But right before he got knocked out by old mate Jacoby, he was actually winning minutes by about a bit. He was landing a lot of leg kicks. Once I refreshed my memory, I was surprised that I don't remember that fight being like that. He was racking up the points, and then he got hit on the temple, and then Jacoby noticed and he threw the 1-2. So I think he was a little bit stunned before that 1-2 as well. So good on Jacoby there. That was a good finish. But I just think this is. Worst case is going to be a close 29-28 for Jung, where he maybe has one close fight round and then maybe hurts Clark in the third and gets a clear 29-28. Or best case, he just runs through Clark with a knockout, or even gets a guillotine when Clark puts his neck in there. He loves being submitted. So I have nothing at the moment. I'm not going to force it unless at least gets to minus 200. But I think it's a clear levels fight, and I'm surprised Clark is still in the UFC. Clark should really not be in the UFC. I hate how they keep giving him nobodies just so he just keeps extending his contract. What about you, mate? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, everything you said, man. They were sending Clark to Korea for a reason as the co-main. It's to highlight Jung. I think out of Clark's losses, he's got 7 of them and 6 are by a finish. So if you're playing Jung, you might as well play him in the distance. I think it's plus 140. I've got a unit on that. That seems like the more sensible play rather than taking his money line. And everything you said, man. Clark's a bomb.
That's it. Nice and short. I love it. Let's address the comments, and then we've got the main event, and we'll do the best bets. And looks like I'll make it on training in time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do all of them. A lot of people asking about Scrap Cap. That's the guy that I usually do the podcast with. He's just very busy, man. I ask him every week. If he's busy, I do it by myself, or I get a guest on. Scrap Cap got booted for a younger model, pretty much. What was that?
No, I don't want to.
Steve likes him young, like Pat Berry. I don't know if Fight Night Bates is younger than Scrap, mate.
Yeah, I'm
But
not that young.
there's a compliment for you, mate. Free Ukraine. I heard Scrap had both of his testicles amputated and is recovering. Look, no comment. I don't want to dislodge his personal information, but you could be onto something. A lot of big cappers are on Ivanov. Yeah, haven't really seen it. Haven't seen anyone on Ivanov like on Twitter per se, which probably means that they are big cappers because not many big cappers on Twitter. Whenever it has to be sharps because it's usually them that are on, they go underground. You don't see their plays. I haven't seen any Ivanov plays, but the line is moving drastically. So
I was going to say, who are these big cappers, man? People talk about sharps and big cappers. Twitter hasn't fucking got any, man.
But that's what I mean. Like, I haven't seen anyone on Twitter, so I think it's someone that's actually sharp. A lot of the time when the line moves and no one's talking about it on Twitter, it's because an actual sharp that's not on Twitter is betting it. You know what I mean? That's what I've noticed recently. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe they're just playing. Maybe just think it's going to be a 50-50 fight. Who knows?
Probably skinny bets.
It's Drake, bro. Drake did it. All right, let's move on. Main event: Derrick Lewis, Sergey Spivak. First time I broke down this fight, I actually had Derrick Lewis by KO at $3.50. I just thought it was about 60. I know someone that's on his money line because it's pretty similar. For me, that's about 60 cents difference. So, and I think that's his best path. I mean, if Spivak is, landing his volume and is getting top time, how does, Lewis get a decision? I think his best chance is how he almost got it against Latifi and Blagoy, where he hurt him multiple times. But I don't think Spivak survives that. Spivak has a problem with, athletic guys. He always reacts weird to punches. He took down, what's his name? Sakai multiple times, and he was dominating him. And Sakai is known to be a turtle, despite being a black belt. There's a lot of those big, unathletic guys. They struggle to get up off their back once they're down. And he got up multiple times. Bandera got up multiple times. People like Hardy didn't get up multiple times because they suck. But, Lewis is going to get up. He's done it heaps of times against better wrestlers. So that just means, there's at least 2, 3, maybe 4 opportunities for Lewis to land the KO whenever it's back standing. I understand it's a hard bet to get behind because, Lewis's body language and how easily he does get taken down and how much bottom time he does give up. At $3.40, I'll put that in just for myself. What's the probability of that? So they're giving Lewis 30% chance to knock out Spivak, who in all his losses has been knocked out essentially. And the first time when Lewis pulled out, I was kind of getting like cold feet because it was a tough card and I was up in profit. I didn't want to lose a quarter unit, but I retaped it again. I was like, you know what? I'm getting the exact same line, $3.40. I'll play it. If he is in shape, like the rumors are going around, even better for me. All I'm going to say is, Lewis loves wrestlers for a reason. So, yeah, quarter unit on that. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I didn't think too hard about this one. I just blind bet it. I put a unit on Derrick Lewis by KO. I like that it's in Vegas. If you have a look, his win percentage in Vegas is high. It's when he fights in fucking Texas or wherever else. That's when he loses. I don't know what's up with that, but I like narratives like that. I think Spivak is takedown reliant on the feet. He's not as good. And I think obviously Derrick Lewis has, way better stand up. And like you said, he does struggle with athletic guys. Not that Lewis is the most athletic, but he can fucking punch, man, and throw decent combos that could put someone like Spivak out. And I also think that the UFC like Lewis, and his back's to the wall a bit here. He's lost like 2 or 3 fights, and I think they're giving him a winnable fight in Spivak. So yeah, I like the narratives more than like the style matchup in this fight. So yeah, just throwing a blind unit on it, and I can see Lewis doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. It's gonna do it. It's gonna be by KO, and
crazy odds too, man.
Yeah, I know. It's 60 cents difference. I honestly thought it would be. I think it's because it's such a big dog. Yeah, like I said, it's hard. It's a hard fight, hard bet to get behind. But I retaped it, and I'm like, you know what? Let's give it another crack. All right. Now, what I usually do at the end, I do best bets. I don't know if you do that because I don't know if you got a paid service and you don't want to give your bets out for free on a podcast and whatnot. It's fine if you don't. Just let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually do one and then my second favorite bet and then with my guest. So my favorite bet's definitely going to be Kinoshita. Had that feeling, gut feeling. That's it. 1.5 units on that at the moment. Easy first choice. And then the second favorite bet, what do I have? It's Taira. I've got Taira finish. Yeah. And I've got Duho Choi under 2.5. And I definitely don't like Tybura over 2.5, even though it might hit. And the Lewis Cat. Yeah, definitely a Duho Choi under 2.5. So I made those both bets both on the same day, one after another. I was surprised by both the lines. So Kinoshita under 2.5. A little bit juiced now. At this point, I'll probably play Kino KO or Kino inside the distance, just because just to cover that submission. And yeah, I think you can play the Choi under up to minus 200. I think both guys are live for a KO.
Yeah. So I'll give a best bet and a best prop. The best bet, I'd say, is Tybura. Maybe you wait until that line comes in. Maybe wait until weigh-ins, see where it's going. It does seem to be coming in each day. And best prop, the first fight of the night, Taira in the distance, it was minus 140. Now I think it's around about minus 160, minus 170. Still seems to be value. So I think that's a good prop. That's very likely to hit.
Very nice, very nice. So we got some overlapping bets. So yeah, we both have the Taira, and you like it as a prop. And yeah, you're planting a flag on Tybura, which whenever you plant a flag, and myself included, I think those bets usually do well, because I don't like to give bets to the public unless I'm confident, you know.
Yeah, I don't like to give them even when I am confident, but it gains traction on Twitter or whatever, and I like to chat shit. So.
Oh, when I'm confident, man, I gave out Trey Williams on Cage Warriors at $3.30 underdog, and I just told everyone bet this guys. Like and I put $2,000 on it, and he closed the $1.30 favorite from a $3.30. I was so scared the fight was going to get pulled. Like, if
did he win?
He won the unanimous decision as a $3.30 underdog, and he closed at $1.30, closed at like 80% implied. So I was just telling everyone, I was like, trust me, guys, I would not be telling you this. Told Twitter, I was like, he's going to give me some clout. But yeah, I usually say that if I'm not confident, I'm not going to say it, because then I look like an idiot when it loses. But yeah, I feel like Kinoshita should hit. And if you're like me, then Tybura is probably going to roll here. I just hope he rolls by unanimous decision and not by finish. All right, we'll call it a day, mate. Thank you for joining. That was great. We finished it in time. I get to go on training, prep for another 15 minutes or so. Anything you want to plug for the boys? Fight night picks, was it? Fight night bets?
Yeah, fight night bets on Twitter, Instagram, fightnightbets.co. Go to the website. I've been doing it like 5 years. I'm on Bet MMA. And yeah, good luck with your bets, man.
Yeah, beautiful. Tune in. He's a good laugh, and it's nice and short podcast. He knows his stuff. You're not going to get a lot of dribble like a lot of the other Twitter podcasts. I personally like that kind of stuff. I like someone different. Other than that, yeah, like and subscribe to myself as well. I'm sure you have 24 viewers. That might be the highest ever. I'm just gonna blame that on you, mate. Maybe you brought in some fans. Who knows?
Yeah, cool.
Other than that, really, really busy February. I think every single week there's a minimum of 3 events every single week. So UFC, PFL, Bellator, then UFC, PFL, LFA, and then again, and then UFC, PFL, maybe another Bellator. So just super excited to smash February. You know, I've squeezed out 4,000 somehow on only 2 UFCs last. So, yep, there's going to be a lot of podcasts. There's going to be PFL. There's going to be Bellator podcast. I'll bring you back on again, mate, in the future if you're keen. I had fun.
Cool.
So, yeah. Thanks again, and good luck, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.